Hello again, everyone. I hope you're all doing, again, very, very well out there. And I thought this was a nice time to do an update video because I got a little pushback on the thing I was going to do next, because we'll get into things here and there in terms of what I was doing over the weekend and why things were going places, stuff like that. A lot of stuff to catch up on here and stuff like that. But let's talk about what's come up recently on the channel here. We got some fantastic commentaries. We got a cliffhanger. We got a wrong turn, all anniversary stuff, 30th anniversary, 20th anniversary, and this coming weekend, very special one because it's marking Steve's birthday, and that's on the 10th of June, and we are covering something that he very much wanted to cover, and that was Tremors. So that one's in the bag. It'll be released on Saturday here on YouTube, or if you want to, I'll have it up on Patreon on Thursday. If you want to get a little early preview, you can get access to it on Thursday or Friday before it goes live on Saturday. Now, we also had a couple of videos that I did. The one I did for Pacific Rim, I really loved that video. I put in a lot of effort. Not just the fact that I put in a lot of effort, I had a lot of fun doing it. I thought it was a fantastically fun film. Sadly, it didn't perform very well. It really was grinding, not getting views. People weren't watching it. No one was giving it the time of day. I was a little sore over that. I was not happy that the fact that I put in a lot of effort. I threw out all this other stuff that was going to be like, maybe it would kind of write off the coattails of the new Transformers film or the new Mission Impossible film, but I felt like it was too much of a crushing deadline type of stuff to get up on these different things. And I just felt too worn out to do that to myself, so I wiped it clean. I found this really, really excellent, fun, a little bit underappreciated film that Guillermo del Toro is such a fantastic filmmaker. I thought it would just be a really fun ride type of thing, really exciting type of film to talk about with all the amazing designs and the fantastic characters, the performances, and the excellent effects on the whole thing. And it just didn't get any traction whatsoever. People just weren't watching it. I don't know what the case is. One of the main things I need to get into early on in the video here, instead of getting it at the end of the video where a lot of people kind of tune out at some places here and there. A big thing about anything you're following, that you hit the subscribe, but then also hit that notification bell icon for any channel, not just mine. Anything you're getting up onto, the only way you get notifications is if you turn on the notifications on the app on your mobile device. So you have to go into the settings, turn on push notifications if you're on an iPhone, or whatever the case. The equal type of thing is on Android if it's named the same thing. You got to go in there and actually turn it on so you get it on your screen. Otherwise, the only place you get it is if you hit the little notification icon when you log on to the website. Otherwise, everything just passes you by. You don't see anything like that. So in my channel, any channel that you're subscribing to, and you hit the notification icon for, you need to turn on your app notifications as well, because there's like, I think it was something around 2,000 or so. I can't get it on the phone. I don't think I'd have to log on to on the computer. I think it's at least 2,000 subscribers for this channel have the notifications selected to be notified of any uploads and stuff like that from the channel, but it's only about 700 people actually turned on the app notifications to actually get the notification. So you need to go into your app settings and stuff like that to get those alerts and notifications for when I upload stuff, so you can actually know to see stuff. So that's me. That's anyone else you've done that for on YouTube whatsoever. So that's very important, so you don't miss anything. So that's the main thing. So if you're not the few people following me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, where I do cross-post all the different things, but with all the algorithms, all the weird shit on social media that pushes stuff and pushes things down, and things get lost in all different random feeds, kind of important to go to the source here on YouTube, hit that notification thing, and turn on the app notifications on your mobile device so you get notified anytime I put up something new. So there's that. So that helps with you seeing what's getting released on the channel, and hopefully you'll watch it and you're interested in it, and it keeps your attention. So that's very important. Please make sure you do that. So there's that. So the Pacific Rim one, I love doing it. It just didn't perform very well and kind of hit me poorly. And then I moved into the retro video series episode, doing this sort of obscure formats fill-in episode, filling in information I didn't cover on the first Star Wars home video retrospective video. dropping in a few other things here and there, and I had fun researching it. It was kind of good recording it, but editing was a major pain, because the problem was I couldn't find a lot of material to edit into the damn video here, because some of these are such obscure film formats. No one's actually really shared any captures from them. Not a lot of people have the hardware to kind of grab all this stuff. Of course, some of these are only available in certain like European or Japanese regions, stuff like that. Here and there, everywhere. There's a couple of like VHD collectors in the U.S., but it's not a widespread type of thing. So I could only find the stuff for the PAL VHS one for the Executor Superclass Definitive Collection VHS set, and the stuff from the CED releases, which is kind of a widespread enough in terms, relatively speaking, to these other ones. In America, you can find CEDs whenever you're pretty much looking for a couple laser discs, so you can still find this stuff around. The players are probably a lot harder to come by to a certain degree, but those are the only ones I was able to get any captures from. So it was like I was covering all this other stuff from Japan and other stuff in UK, where the heck it was, and just I couldn't find any material. I tried contacting another person on YouTube who has covered these formats, has shown that he has these releases, but I never got any response whatsoever from him. I tried things on a certain Star Wars forum where people trade a lot, share a lot of these uploads and these captures and whatnot. They are very obscure, very hard to get, and I got zero bupkis. The only person who replied to me was someone who didn't have the player yet to actually proceed with doing anything with the format, so it was a bit of I was having a real tough time in the thing. I was like, part of the reason why I went off and did that soundtrack collection video is like I was a little stalled out on it. I felt a little weird about the whole thing. I wasn't feeling very good about it. So I needed to shift gears and do something just kind of spur of the moment that felt kind of good to me, even though that didn't perform all that well either. Performed a little bit better than the Pacific Rim thing, but not, or maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, like that. Fact of the matter is, I was having a lot of troubles in editing. I couldn't get anything going anywhere. I couldn't source certain things. There was actually yet another format I did talk about, but because there's like maybe like one freaking YouTube upload of like an old promo spot or a commercial or something else like that. There's a couple of photos around, but they didn't have enough photos to show everything I wanted to show about the format and the system and stuff like that. And of course I didn't have any captures of the thing on the format, which was this sort of like little portable late 80s, early 90s Sony developed sort of mini cassette tape type of thing, which was used for their camcorders at the time, but they were kind of subversively kind of slipping under the whole thing where they had they were putting out like commercial releases from like Warner Brothers or Paramount and of course 20th Century Fox or whatnot. There were actual films being released on the thing, but the hell with it. I had to cut it out of the video because it was like I can't source anything to show what I'm talking about, because otherwise no one's got any context for anything I'm referring to here. So, and I wasn't going to steal stuff from other people's produced videos to kind of like show in there without getting permission from certain people. So it's like this section is kind of a lost cause. It's too long with nothing to cut to, and I can't show half the things I need to show in this thing, so I just had to slice it out of the video and forget about it. So I'm glad people actually have, this one has gained a lot of traction. People had a lot of interest in it. I'm glad for it. I'm glad that at least if I went through hardships for a video, it at least performs. If I went through some pains and some grumbles and had to reshoot half the damn thing and it tanks, man, I'm going to be miserable. At least the Pacific Rim one, I actually enjoyed making the video. I had a lot of fun with it. I got to revisit this film I'd barely watched in 10 years. I got the 4K edition. It looks gorgeous. I got something good to come out of it. So at least on the back end, I got something else out of it on my end of the thing, aside from the YouTube end of things. So at least I got to revisit a film that I actually absolutely loved. This one was like, I went through some pains and I didn't think too highly of it, and it clearly performed. A lot of people were interested in it. It got into the YouTube recommendations. That's where most of the views came from. So still a lack of people from the subscribership are apparently tuning into something. So it's a weird type of thing. So that's why I said the thing about the notifications earlier, because it seems like that could be something affecting a lot of the performance of the channel. Because we got over 12,000 subscribers here, but I get like maybe 200 to 300 views per video, which is just completely out of whack, and not all that's coming from subscribers. A lot of that stuff filters in through other means and whatnot. So I'm trying to see if there's a way to correct this, if I can get out early on some of these videos talking about this stuff, and you guys can click things and get the word out and things can happen. I don't know, but let's move on from that nonsense. So that stuff performed well, and I will eventually be doing the special edition stuff, but there is something else I'm going to be doing ahead of that. Now, let me go in chronological order of where I have things set at this point in time. So commentary-wise, again, we're getting Tremors out this weekend, then sometime in the next week or so, Steve and I will get together. We will record commentaries for Sometimes They Come Back, which is a Stephen King adaptation, which we've not done for quite a while, not since we did It. So we're getting back up on that. We're going to have a few more sprinkled in over the next couple months. And we are finally doing Gremlins 2. I think I mentioned that before, but just to reiterate that, we are getting up on that. And then July, we're going to do Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 back to back. So it's nice summer movies. If you're going to do the summer camp movies, they should probably be somewhere in the summer. Aside from the Friday the 13th movies, which they seem like they're all shot in like freaking 50-degree, 30-degree weather in like freaking September, October, November. Not all of them seem like they're shot actually in the summertime. So these ones at least have had the vibe of whatnot. So at least we'll hit that in July, and then things will go off later on with other stuff. So when we get closer to August, we'll talk about August stuff. But that's enough of a preview for what's coming up then. Now, videos I'm producing aside from commentaries. The next one I'm going to do, since I did a retro video series, I want to change it up. Change it up in more ways than one, because I've been looking back after the Pacific Rim thing didn't perform very well. I kind of look back at everything I've been doing as reviews this year. It's like, it's all been action and sci-fi movies. Aside from Blink, which I did right at the beginning of the year, it's been action movies, science fiction movie, and Alien vs. Predator, and whatever the hell else it was. I had Underworld and everything else that was going on. I don't remember half what I've done this year. I have no clue. But whatever the case is, I was like looking at, like, I have sci-fi film, action film, sci-fi film, action film, and sci-fi action film. I need to change it up. I'm usually a lot better about making a variety of different genres and stuff like that. I've been completely missing the boat on that whole thing. So next thing I'm doing, I went completely off. I went on a different genre list of everything I had on my iPhone notes and stuff like that. Doing the Al Pacino film Sea of Love. Nice, steamy, erotic thriller. Because Blink did perform very well at the beginning of the year. I didn't think it would. I thought it was just like this kind of forgotten sort of thriller from the 90s and no one really knew much about it. But I was like looking over the things like Sea of Love. It was one I kind of batting around a couple of years ago, and I didn't really pull the trigger on it. But I started watching the videos, the trailers, and some other things about it. I was like, this could hit off really nicely. And of course, it also has John Goodman, which I think is a fantastic actor. And I've not talked about worth a damn on this channel, so there's that. I'll be doing Sea of Love, probably shooting it on Wednesday, and then eventually on the weekend, I'll get around to finishing up the post-production on it. So we'll have Tremors shooting on Saturday, and I'll eventually get that next video done and probably out early next week. After that, because I was batting around some ideas last week, and somewhere this hit me, because I was reading some tweets online that were talking about some Michael Mann stuff here and there. I think it was something about Heat. I think it was definitely something about, it was something in regards to Heat, and there was another video I was watching here and there. Anyway, I got this idea coming around about Michael Mann's Heat. It was something about the cinematography and stuff like that, and the filmmaking involved with that I was seeing about stuff. And it's like, it started jarring something around my head. It's like, there is something more to talk about with Heat. I already made a 50-minute video reviewing the film, but we've got to talk about how Mann made a slight bit of an edit to the entire film, omitted certain things when it debuted on Blu-ray, and how he keeps futzing with the colors every so often in the whole thing. So the fact of the matter is, I reacquired the special edition DVD, which has the original theatrical version on it, where the Blu-rays I have the slightly edited versions, and both of these have two different sets of color grading on it. Plus there's the 4K edition to talk about as well, and the fact of the matter is, I ordered the Laserdisc today. It was $10 on eBay, I kept sitting on it, I pulled the trigger on it. So, This was $5. The Laserdisc is $10. It's a $15 commitment for me. But regardless of that, it's like, it's my favorite film. It is my absolute favorite film. When I was over the weekend here, trying to bat around some certain things, getting the creativity going, because I've been trying to get back to screenwriting stuff, and I've had so many other things going on the channel here. Haven't really had time to kind of focus down on that thing, and man, I was getting so... On Saturday, I had too many different freaking things batting around here and there. I was watching videos on YouTube with like too many highly acclaimed but lofty filmmakers spilling out advice and whatnot, and it got me one way, and that kind of veered me off in different weird directions. But the fact of the matter is, once I watched the trailer for Heat, everything just suddenly realigned for me. And the fact is, that's my center. Whenever I need to get back to the center of what I love about filmmaking, at any level, stuff I want to do, anything other people do, anything involved, I go back and watch Heat, and that just recenters my entire universe. So it's an essential movie for me. I've grown to absolutely love it because I love Mann as my favorite filmmaker, despite some films he's put out that I don't like at all. There's too much there. There's too much of exactly this type of stuff I want to make. So there's so much involved. So much involved this whole thing that any chance I get to talk more about Mann, more about Heat, I'm going to take it. So after Sea of Love, I'm moving into talking about Heat in this context for the retro video series. So PACINO, and then another PACINO thing, and then tentatively right now, I'm thinking about doing a review on the 1998 Denzel Washington film Fallen, which also co-stars John Goodman. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care. I will have a good time. It's one I've kind of knocked back around. I bought the Blu-ray several years ago, maybe thinking about doing it for a Forever Horror Month, and it's been a lot of years since I watched it, and I just couldn't quite get into it again. But I'm kind of recommitting, because again, I need to vary up the vibes, the tones, the genres I'm covering on this whole thing, because it's getting too samey. Too much of the same old stuff here. So I need to break it up, change some things around, go into that whole thing, and really kind of examine, because it's got fantastic actors. Denzel, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland. I love Elias Koteas. The guy's fantastic. Ninja Turtles, The Prophecy. My friend Chris Agos worked with him on Chicago PD. I love this guy. He's a fantastic actor. A chance to see him, even if he's in the film for 6-7 minutes. Whatever the case is, I'll take it. I'll go sit down and watch it. Anything like that. So there's a slight thing about the soundtrack. They've never officially put out a soundtrack, but there was at least one playlist I found here on YouTube that had at least snippets of the score that were nice and clean. So I was okay, I can secure this. Can I use it for the video? Because as I said recently, there's been a couple of things, I think it was said on the soundtrack one, where there's certain films I've wanted to cover, like Taking It Beverly Hills or Shakedown. But the soundtracks, they never got soundtracks. So there's nothing available online for them. So it's like I can't really produce the videos the way I usually do, and it kind of sucks and zaps something out of it. So it was a saving grace last night that I found those pieces of whatnot, and I grabbed them, so that saves the video to happen. So after that, it's potentially the Star Wars Special Edition Trilogy video, which I'll take a lot of research for. But I have my Art of Star Wars Trilogy art books and stuff like that, the Special Edition versions, to work off of that. I've got Drew, who do 005, the guy who does the Star Wars visual comparisons on Twitter. He's got a fantastic website. Check it out. He helped me a little bit with the last video here, because he allowed me to get access to that forum that I did grab the CED captures from, and a little bit of extra information from different people who shared stuff here and there. So I thanked him. I thanked Ewan, who worked with me on the Highlander thing. He tried to signal boost a couple of things where I was trying to find some footage here and there. And Rob's Media Room, I think that's him. I think that's his tag. If not, I'll put the right one down here. But he was helping out a little bit here and there, just kind of give me a few point me in the right direction of some things here and there, just to get a little extra information to gather for the video. So a lot of guys helped me out a little bit here and there, and Drew is definitely completely on board with helping me with whatever information I need to compare what changed between the theatrical versions and the special edition stuff in '97. and I think probably the 97 release will be about all I cover. I'll probably touch on, I don't have it, but the whole thing of the Phantom Menace release on home video just a little bit, because it closes out the Star Wars Laserdisc era and stuff like that. So I think I'll just add that as a little tag at the end, but mainly it'll be the 97 stuff, because I think there's just way too much to talk about in terms of the remastering, the remixing, the CGI additions, the censoring done in some places with some of the laser blast shots. I think there's just way too much to cover to do that and the 2004 ones. I think that could be an entirely separate video and can devote a lot more time and not get overwhelmed with the whole thing. So more and more I get closer to doing it, the more I haven't even done research yet, but the more the wheels turn, it just feels more like, yeah, 97 Special Edition should be one contained video, because it's going to be covering a lot of ground. I'll cover a little bit of the Shadows of the Empire thing, because it's a little bit of a bridge between like the 95 stuff and the building up from the marketing campaign sort of template, build up from there, then goes into the special editions, then goes into the prequels. So I think it's a little bit of Star Wars history that just needs a little sliver of context just to step into things. So just a building block, minor little piece of the video. So there's that. And the fact of the matter is that I don't know what else there is on that regard. In terms of schedule, I think that's about all I have planned out at this point in time. Like I said, one thing I forgot to grab over here. Let's see if I can grab it real freaking fast. Freaking drive the freaking thing over here. I didn't add this onto my app where I can store my collection and whatnot, but I did grab Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray of Blade Runner, because I was talking last time about the idea I had on the retro video series update I did right before, the week before I released the new retro video series thing. I was thinking about a Blade Runner, the numerous versions of Blade Runner video and stuff like that. So I said probably had to grab the 4K, and the fact of the matter is this was on sale at Best Buy for about $11, and I had a $5 reward certificate and they had free shipping, so I got this thing for like $6. Why not? I did ask around and did watch some little comparison videos, like, oh yeah, you want to grab this thing. Way better improved with the HDR in this whole thing compared to the Blu-ray version. You want to get this. Unfortunately, it's another Warner Bros. Title that didn't have a digital code or anything like that in here, despite the fact that it doesn't say anything about it on here. But when it had the slipcover, when you look at the old product photos, it did say digital copy. But again, it's one that probably expired several years ago and stuff like that. So any which way you have it there. But little extra stuff I'm grabbing here, because as I said in the soundtrack video, if you didn't catch it, go back and watch it, stuff like that. But I took advantage of this 20% off Memorial Day weekend half-price books thing, and I didn't find anything I was looking for, but I found a lot of cheap soundtracks. I found Mask of Zorro. I found Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates was at a different resale shop, but I grabbed that. I grabbed the original Danny Elfman Batman score, and I was at another half-price books, and I found the Casino Royale soundtrack. Now this was $5.99, and there is an expanded version up on iTunes. It has about another 12 or 13 minutes worth of music, but the fact is that's about $16.99. This was $5.99. So it's like, yeah, I kind of figured there was probably expanded one somewhere. Maybe it was a Entrada, La La Land type of deal or whatnot, but I felt like $5.99. It's $5.99. It's got plenty of freaking music on here. I think it's like about 75 minutes worth of music. I think I can survive. I think I can survive on this. I haven't really listened to it at all, but it's a David Arnold Bond soundtrack. It's clearly one of the best. I like the fact that on the back of this thing it says this album does not contain a Chris Cornell recording, so it's kind of a smart type of thing. People would kind of be looking on this thing, or maybe just kind of thought whatever the fuck is, but there are several versions of You Know My Name. I have the original single version. Then I think there's at least 2 other versions. I think you can get them on iTunes. They're on different releases, but you can find them. I think. I'll have to further research this, but Casino Royale is on the list to eventually cover. I'll get to it, but again, like, that's another action film I want to buffer things out before I go back to action. So, nice thriller, nice kind of supernatural thriller horror stuff. Definitely totally different between Sea of Love and Fallen and whatnot. So, thriller and a thriller, but they're very different types of thrillers. But anything on that regard. So, Casino Royale will eventually happen. That would definitely be the only other Bond film I have on the list at all right now. So, anything like that. So, that's all I have in terms of media pickups. But slight thing is that I did talking more about my Star Wars stuff and getting up on audiobooks and a book. Is that a couple weekends ago I figured I just actually pick up an actual physical book for Star Wars. Because I keep going in this section, looking at the stuff, just kind of feed off the vibes of the whole thing. And so I grabbed the Truce of Bakura. I'm only on page, I'm on page 20, so I haven't gotten that far. But the fact of the matter is I've been busy with other things. I finally got my next month of credit from Audible, so I grabbed Dark Force Rising, and I'm several hours into that right now, so I'm very much good on that whole thing. But I figured I'd just grab something up. This one takes place like the day after Return of the Jedi. So once I finish that, the Thrawn trilogy stuff, I'm probably more focused go into this thing and try to read through it, because just trying to expand my mind or whatnot, trying to flex those muscles that I keep saying, oh, I'm not a book reader, I don't get through things, and not even try. But since I've been reading all the comic stuff, which I'm a little behind on, I figure I'd try at least a book. And coincidentally, I was looking around to purchase this again because I thought I got rid of it. It was in a storage bin underneath my bed. It's the Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I read the Boba Fett story in this thing probably 20 some odd years ago, and I haven't read it since. So I felt like an anthology thing would kind of hit me off well. A little bit more relatively short snippet stuff, and they got ones from the Mustache Cantina from Jabba's Palace. So those are on a tentative wish list, and they're pretty cheap and whatnot. But I was really close to actually buying this again until I started looking around for something else. I don't know if I found it or whatnot. I don't know what the hell I was looking for yesterday, but I just found this. I think I was looking for something else, but I'm glad I found it, so I didn't rebuy the same thing I already had. And it wasn't the same bins. I had my because Audible has a sale going on, which is another thing to talk about here, that until the 9th, they're actually giving up to 85% off everything. Now, of course, probably very few of them are that high off, but I actually grabbed some few things where I grabbed the audiobook. The audiobook of this, Star Trek The Next Generation Q Squared, which was very cheap, and because I was looking around stuff here and whatnot, and under the bed and all the storage stuff, and I realized I still had the cassette version of this whole thing, and I started thinking about, I don't have a cassette player anymore. Maybe I can buy something where I can transfer these onto the computer. Then I realized, let me check what the price is on Audible. It was like $5 and change. Like, I'm not spending $20 on a freaking USB cassette tape transfer device or whatnot. I'll buy $5 worth of damn thing on Audible. So I now have this on Audible. But the bigger thing is, which I posted on the community tab last night, Sunday night, is that I grabbed William Peter Blatty's audiobook version of Legion. The book Exorcist 3 was based on. It got a little bit mangled around, and what the Legion cut is much more faithful to, but it's been the thing the last couple of years where before, because the audiobook only got produced about 3 years ago, I think about 2 or 3 years ago. And before that, was like, I was in the whole thing, it's like, I don't really want to do a redux on Exorcist 3 unless I can get more context from the actual novel, because there's clearly something in the Legion cut that is supposed to resonate stronger than it does, because people who know the novel seem to have a much stronger reaction to the whole thing. So I was like, didn't want to do the thing without knowing the novel or whatnot, but I really wasn't a guy to kind of sit down with a novel. And then eventually the audiobook came around, and it was like, okay, that's been on my wish list and stuff like that, but now I'm kind of on this audiobook, Audible thing kick. This was perfect, because I got it for like $10 or something like that, and it was fantastic, which is cheaper than my monthly subscription, so that worked out very well. And I'll probably grab The Last Command, which is the last part of the Thrawn trilogy, by week's end. I'll see how much further I get on the entire Dark Force Rising audiobook. But since it ends on Friday, I'll probably grab it Friday once I see how far I am along, and that'll be cheaper than another month subscription. But the monthly subscription will be cheaper for next month when I get my another credit to use to grab another book. I should get the audiobook of the original Exorcist, which is about 13 hours long. So the one for Legion is about 9 hours. The original Exorcist is about 13 hours. So there's a lot of stuff involved with getting up to these videos, but I've made the first step forward to committing myself to eventually doing videos on both The Exorcist and a redux on The Exorcist 3. I do not have the 4K of Exorcist 3 yet from Screen Factory. We'll see how it goes, but the fact of the matter is the 2016 version has the exact same bonus features, so all I'm getting is the restored theatrical audio and the new transfers. So we'll see how things go. The original Exorcist is supposed to get a 4K release from Warner Brothers sometime later this year because it is the 50th anniversary. That's been talked about very definitively in their early 100th anniversary press release, and a lot of other things have been saying about it. We just don't have a release date. It'll probably come much later on the year. But where the case is, I plan to probably do these before the end of October. So whether it's Forever Horror Month or sometime slightly before then, I plan to eventually get around to doing these. It's going to be a lot of research. I mean, just those audiobooks alone, that's an entire day. That's 22 hours of sitting through the audiobooks for both films, plus each film has 2 different cuts to watch, plus all the interviews and all the documentaries. This is like an entire week's worth of research to do both films at the bare minimum. So it will happen. It just requires a lot of time. And the fact of the matter is getting more from this channel, more from you guys, more views, more likes, more interactions, anything on the super thanks, anything on the Patreon does help move things forward a little bit faster. So the more I can get from that, the more I can free up my own time to work on more things for this channel. So guys, that's about all I have. I think that's quite long enough. I had some other things I'm going to talk about, but I can talk about it next time because it's not that time sensitive and it's not quite channel stuff. It's just other interest stuff. So guys, thanks so much. And I hope you're all doing very well out there. And we'll close out the whole thing and look for Tremors commentary this weekend. And guys, thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.